Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and my next build, the Tamiya 1/48 scale Messerschmitt Bf109 G6. Okay, before I dig into the box and start talking about what's going to be going on with this kit, let me tell you what my plan is for the kit. So I am not going to be using the kit markings. I'm going to be doing this aircraft in Swiss markings. The Swiss acquired German aircraft, specifically in this case the Bf109, through various methods that I'm not going to go into, but one of the more interesting ones I think is the G6, specifically the color scheme that I'm going to be using. So let me show you a couple of photos real quick of the actual aircraft that I'm going to be replicating with this kit. Okay, first of all, what is the plan for this kit exactly? So it's going to be getting a different paint job than this, and since I'm doing it in Swiss markings, I did get a aftermarket set of decals, which I will go over in a bit. In addition to that, I also decided I wanted to try, after hearing about it quite a bit, I wanted to try the Quinta Studios interior 3D decal set for this particular kit. So I'll be going over that as well. One of the other things I want to do is, since the engine cowlings are removable and they're very nice engine cowlings, they're not the usual kind of wonky looking, you have to have them off or on or set in an open position. I am going to be doing a little bit of detail work on the engine. So like various lines, hoses, stuff like that. I want to try and see if I can scratch build some stuff just to make it look a little bit more interesting with the cowlings off for whenever I choose to display it that way. So with all that, let's go ahead and dig into the box and take a look at the kit. Okay, before we dig into the box, I just want to give a quick thanks to Eric Davenport. This is one of the kits he sent me, and Eric, if you're watching, I really appreciate you sending me this kit. Once again, thanks, and I'm really looking forward to building it. So with that, let's take a look. It's the typical box, nice artwork, all the usual verbiage. One side of the box has one marking option, even tells you which colors you need to do the exterior. Then on the other side, it shows the other marking option that comes in the box, which is also pretty groovy looking, and also indicates which colors you need for that with the XF numbers and everything. And the nice thing about these Tamiya kits nowadays, their colors right out of the bottle aren't that great for a match for most things in these modern modeling times. So they actually give you the mix of what you would need to replicate the color. In this case, XF54 plus XF63 at a ratio of 3:1 to get this gray color, and then it gives you the ones for the green color. So that's kind of cool that they actually give you, those options. Now, why they don't just make new colors, I don't know, but that would be nice. But anyway, that's another topic. This is what I was talking about though as far as the engine. Magnet attached engine cowlings. Open, closed parts can be interchanged, which means you can have them open or closed. Or you can change them back. It's not a choice where you have to choose, I want to do it this way or I'm going to do it the other way. You can do them both by use of the magnets that come with the kit. So you can have it all closed up, set on a shelf, and it's like, I'm kind of bored with that. Pop the cowlings and everything open, and leave it sitting like that for a while. So that's a really nice feature about this kit. So that's the box. Let's open it up. Inside we got the usual stuff: paper goods, plastic, blue bag with the magnets and poly caps, and then more plastic, more paper goods. So let me get all this stuff sorted out, and we'll start with the paper stuff first, and then we'll move on to the plastic. Okay, so here we go. This is the general pile of stuff you get with a Tamiya kit nowadays. So first you got your Tamiya Tech Tips, which demonstrates the cutting off of parts, removing excess plastic, using different types of cements. All kinds of little small verbiage down here. Shows the different kinds of cements, making holes, etc. On the back, test fitting, removing metal plating, which applies to automotive stuff, I guess. Using different types of paints, using spray paints. So it's kind of a nice little thing to include. Kind of might be helpful for the beginning modeler. Then we have background information. These are really cool. It comes with the Japanese on the outside. Nice illustration, nice little photograph here. Same here. Nice photo of the open engine cowling. Nice photo of the cockpit, albeit small. And then we have the English version here with a nice line drawing. And some nomenclature, so antenna post, canopy, buell, boiler, something like that, leading edge slat, 13mm machine gun. Just kind of list out some of the things on the outside of the aircraft. And another nice photo of the engine cowling open. Gives the dimensions, specifications, a little information. Then on the back, same information in German and French. So those are always kind of cool. That way you can read up a little bit if you don't know much about an aircraft, which might be a good idea for me to do. Then we have, and these are really nice here, especially when you're using the markings and paint scheme out of the kit, are these big fold out color schemes. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think these might be to scale, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it. Let's just do a quick little visual here. It's about the length of that. About the length of that. Yeah, so those are in scale with each other. Now, whether or not they're 1/48 scale, I don't know, but I think they are. But it's kind of cool. So you have a nice representation of what the aircraft's going to look like. Here's just some nice stuff here. Notice, apply markings with a double outline number before camouflage. So for instance, let's see if we can find one. There we go. Like that one right there. Looks like the swastika goes in place and gets oversprayed a little bit. So that's something to pay attention to when you're doing markings and painting. That's why it's always a good idea to look at these things. Now, there are 3 marking schemes in here, okay? There's this one here with the blue band, which is really cool. And then there are these 2 here. These are not to scale. So if you wanted to, you could blow them up and make them to scale, but not really necessary on an aircraft like this. But yeah, so that looks pretty good. Anyway, these are really nice, these color deals. I like keeping these, and I may even one of these days when I get some extra wall space, you know, put them on the wall, hang them up. They look really cool. Then we've got the instructions. All right, so let's take a look at the instructions. Now in here it gives you all your color callouts, tools that you would potentially need for this kit, and then the actual instructions themselves. Gives you the marking options. So you have A, B, and C, which means whenever you're building, there are certain things that have to be done for certain aircraft. So that is something that a person should keep in mind, because you'd want to make sure you did the right stuff. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research to make sure I'm using the right type of aircraft for the Swiss markings. Okay, so we got all that. Starts with the cockpit like usual. Cockpit and then the fuselage. the cannon or the engine mount assembly. And it's nice because it tells right here. This is something some people don't know about these 109 aircraft. Actual aircraft has recessed channels here. Do not fill. So that means there's supposed to be a groove going down the spine and down the belly. But nice instructions. And then all of the engine parts. Comes with a pilot, so that's kind of nice if you want to put a pilot in place. Seat belts come on the decal sheet, I'm supposing, but just the usual stuff. Nice, concise, easy to read instructions. So it all looks good. All right. And then we have the stencil sheet here. So this is the sheet that indicates where all of the stencils go, which are common to all versions of the aircraft. Those are all the little teeny tiny things that go all over the place. So that's something to keep in mind. Put all those in place. And then tech tip showing how to mask the canopy. So that is the instructions. Okay, first up we have Spru A. What I'll do with each one of these sprues, I'll show it full sprue, then I'll zoom in so we can get a detailed look at it. So here we go. These look like the cannons here, or the machine guns maybe, not sure. Drop tank. The wing, lower wing. Now here's something that's kind of nice. It looks like they've got a really nice mounting style for these landing gear, because with these Messerschmitt landing gear, they're cocked out and cocked forward at a weird angle, and this should help really get that lined up right. Leading edge slats. All of it looks really nice as far as detail. Ailerons, flaps. No flash as expected on a kit like this, but panel line detail is ultra fine. Looks really nice. So that'll take some weathering really well. So yeah, looking good. So that is Spru A. Here we have Spru B. All right, so these are the cockpit parts. This is behind the pilot cockpit, where the seat goes, lower cowling, spinner plate, prop looks really nice. Man, one thing you gotta love about Tamiya, a lot of kits will have like flash around the edges of the what you call a propeller. Not so much on Tamiya kits, especially the newer ones. A lot less sanding. Horizontal stabilizers, cockpit detail, really nice. Here we have the two different kinds. The intake that goes on the side. I think this is the tropical version here. But then we have the that's the engine mount right there. That's going to be interesting. I read some really good stuff about that. Pilot's head, the pilot. So that's really cool. That's a good looking pilot there. Part of the tail. The rudder, vertical stabilizer. Rudder pedals, very nicely molded. Control stick. Antenna mast. the loop antenna. That looks really nice. It's not actually flat, but man, that's a good looking little antenna right there, so that's cool. But again, the detail is really, really nice. Now there are some ejector pin marks here, but we'll see if those are going to be covered up by cockpit detail. And then we have the instrument panel there. More on that later. Looks like the throttle quadrant there. Well, not quadrant, throttle right there. Another little, can't remember what that one is, but just really super nice, nicely detailed stuff. This pilot looks really good. Nice, nice sharp detail. But that's Spru B. And here we have Spru D and E. So those are engine parts, exhaust. Looks like another lower cowling, so must depend on the actual version one is building. The motor mounts, more intakes. That's weird. Supercharger. That's where this intake goes. Sucks air. That's where this sucks air from, is these intakes, I'm assuming. But looks really good. Nice, nice, nice detail. Manifold covers, or not manifold covers. Can't remember what they're called. The covers go over the top of the cylinders. God, I'm going blank. Then we have the machine guns here. Really nice detail. More engine components. All really nice. No, none of that there crazy flash going on. So yeah, that all looks really good. Now the one thing that could be lacking is the exhaust. They're not hollowed out, so I just may look into getting some aftermarket exhaust, but we'll see. Anyway, that's Spru D and E. The last of the gray plastic, Spru F. So as you can see, we've got the wheels, we've got, I think this is the part of the upper cowling there, maybe? No, I don't think it is. I'm not sure what that is. Wheels, hubs, two different types of tail wheel, one with a canvas cover on it and one without, so I'll have something else I'll have to check into. Here's the engine cowl covers, solid one and the two-piece one, which is what you use with those there magnets. Same here. So we've got these parts here for closed and these parts for open, and that's pretty nice because yeah, pretty cool. So we'll see how that works. I'm not real sure exactly what the deal is, but it's supposed to be pretty slick. Then we have the gear bay doors. Now there's some ejector pin marks there, and those are going to be blocked by the gear itself, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal. But yep, all looks really good. Again, really fine detail. Looks nice. Man, it's gonna be a cool kit. So anyway, that is Spru F, and that's the last of the gray sprues. All right, and here is the C sprue. So we've got part 3 and part 4, which are the windscreen segments, and these are like the other. A little bit of difference between the two, so I'll have to pay attention. But the nice thing about these Tamiya kits, and a lot of kits nowadays, is they're including part of the fuselage here, so you don't have to worry about monkeying around with the seam right here. So that's pretty nice. Then we have the gun sights, two different types of gun sights. This is the this is a light that goes under the underside of the wing. We have the canopy, and then the rear window part, rear part of the canopy. And then we have the armored, that's the armored glass for the front. So I'm not sure if all the versions use that, but I'll have to pay attention. But the nice thing about these 109s is, even if you don't have a masking set, they're real easy to mask off because of all the, it's all angular. So for the most part, you don't have to worry about curves and all that kind of stuff as much. But yep, really nice, really very clear. No stress marks or anything like that. So that's the clear parts, Spru C. Then here we have the magnets and the poly caps. So I'm not gonna pull those out of the bag because I don't want to lose anything, but that's what that is. All right, next up is the decals and the masking stickers, as they call them. Now, I may use these, I may not. Depends on how well they fit, because, you know, it's just one of those things where, do you cut on the outside edge of the printed line or the inside edge to get it to the perfect size? So I'll mess around with it and see. If not, I'm not averse to making my own masks, but they look good, and it looks like it's made out of the same masking material as their tape, so that stuff works pretty good. Now here are the stencils that I was talking about. All the little tiny markings that are common between the different aircraft, along with these here. A lot of these are common, but now that is unusual. Those are one-piece swastikas. How in the world did they get away with that? Interesting. And then there's the specific markings for the different aircraft, as well as seatbelt decals, which I won't be using, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Then we also have the instrument panel decals, which I will also not be using, but they all look good. All look to be in register. Typical Tamiya decals. A little bit thick, but you know, the ones I use, I'm sure they'll be fine. And then here are the markings for the specific aircraft. But again, I won't be using these because I'm doing a Swiss bird. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the extra stuff that's going with this kit. Okay, first let's take a look at the decals. These are Swiss Bf109s. Bf109D1, E3, and G6, markings for 13 aircraft. So that's pretty groovy. You can do a lot of stuff with these. Now I'm sure there's some commonality between some of them, so I don't know if you actually get 13 whole aircraft out of it, but you know, possibly. So let's take a look at the instructions first. Now it tells, gives some interesting information about certain aircraft. With the different colors, where the different decals go. Now this is copyright 2006, so these are fairly new, modern. Let's call them modern. They're not new. Now I am doing J704. This plane was damaged in 1945 and after repair was painted in an experimental green and brown scheme. Another 109G, number unknown, was painted in a similar green and gray scheme around the same time. Now, I've seen photos of 704 in both the regular, you know, German mottle type camouflage, but then also in this two-tone brown and green color, which these colors are horribly inaccurate, so yeah, it's not really looking good. But That's the one I'm doing, 704. So I will have to, and it looks like it had the Escher Vice prop and warning strips. In the photo, it shows those little strips. So I'll have to make sure I check out my reference photo and build accordingly. Then it gives the different colors and stuff like that. And then here are the actual color schemes here, along with some ad stuff on the back. Gives you the measurements, which is kind of nice. Gives you the exact measurement. 1.23 inches, 31.25 millimeters from inside corner of aileron. So that's kind of cool. So you know exactly where to put the markings. But this is the one I'm doing, J704. And yeah, just horrible color call outs there, but Cutting Edge Model Works, 1997. So these things are actually older than I thought. So, but that's the schemes. That's the scheme I'm using. And here are the decals, J704. So those are the ones that would be used for J704. And then I would use the appropriate colors or the appropriate pattern for that aircraft. And for that one, it uses like the big multi-colored stripes. Like this. So what I'm probably going to do to make it easier than trying to use these big giant decals, I'm probably going to paint these markings on for the big stuff. The main reason I ordered this was for the stencils and stuff, because they are a little bit smaller and thinner, but also so I could get the exact dimensions I needed for these. Now I'll probably use these because I don't feel like, you know, making stencils for those, and those should be fine. But just these big complicated ones, you know, having to deal with fuselage sides and all that kind of stuff, I think it would just be better and easier to paint them, but we'll see. But anyway, that is the markings I'm going to be going with, and they look pretty groovy. Okay, and the last thing is the Quinta Studios interior 3D decals. So it shows right here. Remove relief from kit's part first. So I'm going to have to scrape off some details off of the kit parts. So I'll have to scrape that off, then I'll have to paint it, and then install these parts. So yeah, they look pretty good though. Scratch build bases needed. So that's a blue star. Then we have this little access panel here, which looks really cool. So it just, you know, that's just showing what I have to do. And then this here, 3D decal working tips. Prepare plastic kit parts for use. In some cases, removing the raised details. So this will be one of the things that I actually video. Most things I'm just going to be doing off camera, but this, since it's something a little different than what I normally do, I will probably at least talk about it in detail. So that's something to keep in mind. Now I'm going to take these out of here and pull them up close because they look really nice. Okay, so let's get them up here by the camera. Very nice detail going on there. The dials are pre-glossy, so you don't have to mess with that. It just looks really good. So I'm really eager to try these out. And the cost on them is not really that bad. So, I mean, I guess worst case scenario, I could totally screw it up. But I better not, because I'm going to be scraping off all the detail off of the kit parts. So, but yeah, this relief is just, oh my goodness, it looks really good. Now, is it cheating? Yeah, kind of, I guess. I just want to detail out the cockpit, and this is an easy way to do it, so I'm gonna do it. Some purists out there may be saying, why don't you just use the kit stuff? Well, because I don't want to. I want to try this stuff out and see what it looks like. I'm trying to do a really detailed version of this aircraft. And the parts that are visible are the cockpit, at least the instrument panel and the seat. And, yeah, see these seat belts? Same thing, nice and thick. You know, more of a scale thickness than a decal would be. Has little numbers embossed there. Looks really good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying these babies out. So there you go. That is really groovy. All right, so that's the kit. So next up, I want to really briefly talk about the materials I'm going to use. For the paint, I'm going to be using Mission Models paint. And these are the colors that were recommended to me by a number of different online sources, other modeling people. And that's RLM 79 for the brownish tan color and RLM 71 for the green. So those ones I'm using. Whether or not they're completely accurate, no idea. But those are the ones that got mentioned the most. And without any actual numbers shown anywhere that I can find, or a lot of other people can't find as to what was actually used on the real aircraft, that will have to do. So then for underneath, I knew it was going to be an RLM 76 or 65, and I was recommended to use the 65, which is a little bit more of a greenish gray color, I think, but that's what I'm going to use for the bottom. I like that color, and I think it'll look good. Again, part of it's guesswork because I don't think there is any accurate record of what paints were used exactly, so we're just going to have to wing it. So that is the that's the deal. I already have the other paints for the interior and the markings, so I'll be able to do all of that. As far as the video series format goes, it's not going to be a step-by-step build. As I mentioned in a previous update, that gets too tedious at times, and especially on an aircraft like this where I'm having to do a lot of extra stuff. So this is going to be my first test case of going with a full-on organized update summary type thing with certain things thrown in as need be. So if I need to demonstrate something, I'll do it. But otherwise, it's just I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna talk about what's been going on and give a brief update and let everybody see what I've accomplished so far. So that's gonna be the video format. And with that, we can call it done. That's the end of the intro for the Tamiya 1/48 scale Bf109 G6 in Swiss markings. So if you have any experience with this kit, I would like to hear about it in the comments section down below, especially how the all of the magnetic stuff goes. So I'd really like to hear about that. So as always, thanks for watching Classic Models by a Regular Dude. Stay tuned for the next episode where I actually do some work. And yeah, thanks. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give me a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so if you'd like to see other builds, or if you'd like to see this one continue on through to the finish. So again, as always, thank you for watching Classic Models by a Regular Dude. And until next time, I will see you all later.